Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 9 of the Denver Broncos franchise here on Madden NFL 23. And today, as the Denver Broncos, we have reached our bye week of the season. So I thought this would be a very good time considering we've played 8 games to take our first look around the league, kind of recap what's been going on in the 2022 NFL season. So we'll take a look at standings, stats, league leaders, as well as take our first look at some of the mock draft and a particular prospect in tonight's episode. Hope you guys are ready for this one. If you are, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. I've enjoyed the Broncos in recent times, and I hope you guys have as well. So we're 8 games through the season, and your Denver Broncos sit right down the middle at 4-4. It's been an up and down season. We've gotten a couple wins. We've gotten a couple losses in recent times. Here is how the league stands as a whole. The best team in the league is the Baltimore Ravens, and the worst team is the Houston Texans. Nobody's winless, and nobody is undefeated. We'll start with the standings in the AFC North. The Ravens, the aforementioned team, lead at 7-1, followed by the Bengals, who are 5-3. Browns and Steelers are 4-4. In the South, it's the Colts who lead at 5-3, also tied with the Jaguars. The Titans, last year's number 1 seed, 3-4, and the Texans, 1-6. In the AFC East, the Patriots lead at 5-3. Everybody else under 500. The Bills have been one of the biggest disappointments this year. Losers of 4 straight. They sit 2-5. Jets 2-6, and so are the Miami Dolphins. In the AFC West, the Chargers 6-1, our division, followed by the Chiefs, who are 4-3, then us at 4-4, and the Raiders, who are 3-4. To the NFC side of things, in the North, the Packers 5-3, they lead that division, followed by the Bears, who are 4-4, Lions 2-5, and Vikings 2-5. In the South, the Buccaneers and the Saints both sit 6-2, the Panthers 3-5, as well as the Atlanta Falcons. In the NFC East is the Eagles, who lead 5-2. It's been a very surprising season for the Eagles. Thankfully, they got with Baker Mayfield to them, who's played phenomenal. 5-3 are the Cowboys and the Commanders, and the Giants sit at 2-6. And lastly, in the West, the Rams 5-2, followed by the Cardinals, who are 3-5, 49ers as well, and then the Seahawks, who are 2-6. So some surprises so far in the season, some disappointments as well. Let's take a look at our stats. That's the big part of these episodes, just taking a look at some of the stats in the league. We'll start off with our team. Russell Wilson has 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. It has been a very disappointing year, to say the least, for our offense. We have not clicked. Russell Wilson's thrown a lot of interceptions in recent times. QB rating's only at 80.2, so hopefully he can turn that around because he gave up a lot to give him. I know Russell Wilson's known and is supposed to play better. He's capable of it. That's the word I'm looking for. So hopefully he can get those numbers back in check. Running game has not been very good as well. Melvin Gordon has been the primary bell cow back with 149 attempts, 558 yards, and 4 touchdowns, while Javonte Williams only touched it 39 times with 212 and also has 4 touchdowns. Javonte Williams, when he's touched the football, has carried it a lot better than Melvin Gordon. So I'm going to feature a lot more Javonte Williams. I've been trying to do a split backfield, but Melvin Gordon seems to be getting more of the touches, so I'm definitely going to put Javonte Williams in some more packages so he definitely gets some touches. He's done a very good job when he has had the football. Wilson's also had 33 attempts for 168 yards and 2 scores, and then Tim Patrick had our first non-QB halfback to touch it with a reverse, a jet sweep that we called last game. Usually don't do that. In the receiving game is Courtland Sutton, who's broken out, had the big breakout game. Now a superstar, leads the team with 37 catches for 644 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's really stood out. I thought going into the season that we needed a number 1, and I wanted it to be Sutton considering he just got the big contract. I was unsure if he can do it, but Courtland Sutton has been proving me wrong this year, so thank you and good job, Sutton. Jerry Jeudy has 36 catches for 381 and 2 scores. I'd like to see him do a little bit more. He did miss a game, though, with that pre-practice injury, so those are in 7 games, so he is a game behind. Tim Patrick, 31 for 365, has yet to find the end zone. Gordon also has 36 catches for 319 yards and a score. And then Albert Okwuegbunam, our tight end, 17 catches, 167 yards and a touchdown. I like to get the tight end more involved. I like Albert Okwuegbunam. I just want him to do a little bit more. KJ Hamler also has 17 catches for 148 yards. And then Greg Dulcich, the rookie tight end out of UCLA, has 5 catches, one of those being a touchdown. And then Javonte Williams has 3 catches. So I'd like to see the passing game really step it up. Courtland Sutton's carried his load, but I'd like to get Jeudy a little bit more Tim Patrick, maybe KJ Hamler. He is dynamic. We'll touch on in a little bit. And Albert Okwuegbunam. I like to just see somebody else step up behind Sutton, because that's what I thought the problem would be with this receiving core. I've been thinking about wide receiver being a position I like to address, and I think that might continue. Offensive line has been kind of hit or miss. Billy Turner has led our team with sacks with 5. Bowles has 4. Reisner has 4. Christianberry has 4. And then Glasgow has 3. I thought overall they've played pretty good. But we just got to do a better job at taking care of the football. Defense, our tackle leader is Alex Singleton with 85 tackles. I think defensively, we've played pretty good. Unfortunately, we put our defense in a lot of bad spots with all of the turnovers and interceptions and stuff. I don't think they played particularly well last game against the Jaguars, but I do like where our defense sits. I do think middle linebacker between Singleton and Josie Jewell, despite the fact they lead our team at tackles, I do think that's where we need to upgrade. I'd like to get better coverage linebackers. We can get tore up at times against tight ends. So Singleton and Jewell, they do lead our team in tackles. Singleton has 6 TFLs, Jewell has 5, so they do a very good job in the run game. I'd just like to see them step it up more in the pass game. Then there's Justin Simmons, who is a phenomenal beast. Tackle for loss, Singleton, Bradley Chubb, Draymond Jones, and Randy Gregory all have 6. As far as sacks, Randy Gregory currently leads our team with 4 sacks through 18 games. So nobody really on pace to get double-digit sacks this year. I would have liked to have seen either Gregory or Chubb get it. Chubb has 3, and he's in a contract year. So this is a big year for Chubb, and he hasn't honestly played to that contract extension level. This is why I haven't given him a deal yet. I'd like to see Chubb play a little bit better before I commit to an extension, but he will be a big situation in the offseason. Singleton has 2.5 sacks, followed by Draymond Jones, who has 2.5. DJ Jones also has 2.5. He had a very good game against the Jaguars. McTelvin, a game, also 2. Ronald Darby as well. A couple of secondary players, as we do get creative with our blitzes sometimes. Interceptions, I thought we've done a very good job of taking away the football, specifically this man, Ronald Darby. Despite his tag being a bridge player, he leads our team with 5 interceptions. He's done a phenomenal job at getting his hands on the football, and he even missed last game, so he's only played in 7 games and has 5 picks. Very good for Ronald Darby. K'Wan Williams also has 2, Kareem Jackson as well, Justin Simmons, and Patrick Surtain II. I really loved Patrick Surtain coming out of college at 6'2", and he's really not disappointed his second year. Most of the time, he is matched up against the number 1 receiver. If the other team has a superstar, I'm going to stick Surtain on him, and I think he's done a very good job on that side of the field. Singleton also has 1, and so does Jamar Johnson, including his being a pick 6. Let's see, fumbles forced, 2 for Randy Gregory. That's really it. Defensive touchdowns, we have 4. 2 of them are Darby, 1 of them is Williams, and 1 of them is Jamar Johnson. So I thought we've done a pretty good job on the defensive side. Kicking, McManus has been perfect. Besides, he did miss 2 field goals, but I think overall he's been well. Sam Martin's done a good job at being our punter. Kick return special teams. KJ Hamler, how about it? 3 kick return touchdowns. He has been dynamic when he gets to football. He's just so quick, so agile, and I mean, those 3 touchdowns have kept us in some ball games, potentially even won us some ball games. So KJ Hamler has really solidified himself as the special team man for the future of this squad. Those are our stats. Let's take a look now around the league, see where we stack up in terms of other teams. The passing leader right now in the NFL is Marcus Mariota. Yes, having himself a career resurgence in Atlanta. Mariota, 2,500 yards passing, followed by Dak Prescott with 24. Burrow. Then Carson Wentz, how about him in Washington? 2,400 yards of his own. Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield, who we mentioned, joined the Philadelphia Eagles. The Panthers traded for him, cut him for whatever reason. Thought Darnold was better, and Baker Mayfield is saying, prove you wrong. 2,300 yards. He is part of the reason why he is a big reason why the Eagles are so good this year. Mac Jones and a couple of other players. Passing touchdowns, Dak Prescott leads the way with 24. Mayfield has 23. Tom Brady 20, and the other 21 is Mac Jones. And then the interception leader is Davis Mills and Russell Wilson. Wah, wah, wah. Prescott also has 10, and then Kyler Murray as well. Hasn't had a big year for him. In the rushing department, the league leader in rushing is Jonathan Taylor with 949 and 11 touchdowns. He is having a sensational season, one of the best backs in the NFL. The other one, Derrick Henry, 908 yards, 6 touchdowns, 33 broken tackles. King Henry still driving away. Then you got Elliott, who's had 768 and 9. Kamara was 763 and 9. A lot of good running backs here, but the NFL's leading rushing touchdowns is Austin Eckler with 14. We played the Chargers once. We got to play them again, and we got to worry about stopping Austin Eckler. The Chargers, the Bolts, man, they could be the favorite in the AFC. Receiving-wise, Cooper Kupp leads the way with 1,000 receiving yards already. This man is tearing it up, picking up right where he left off last year with 1,000. He's on pace for over 2,000 receiving yards, and he has 13 touchdowns, 26 touchdowns on pace for Cooper Kupp. Man, let's stop this man. This is going to be a record-breaking year if not. Amari Cooper is up next, 763-2. Who leads the league in receptions? It is Cooper Kupp, followed by Michael Thomas. So Kupp is on pace to win the Triple Crown. I mean, he could be an MVP at wide receiver. When's the last time we've seen that? The only two people with receiving touchdowns double digits are Kupp and Julio Jones of the Cowboys with 11. Defensively, we'll just take a look at sacks and interceptions. The sack leader Chandler Jones with 10, as well as DeMarcus Lawrence. And then interceptions is 5 of Ronald Darby. Man, still just can't fix the PB players of our team disappearing in the NFL because, you know, Madden loves to listen to their fan base, but I will not go down that rabbit hole. So that is the league leaders. We'll take a look at the awards real quick. I usually don't like to do this, but yearly awards, Baker Mayfield is on pace to win MVP. I am not upset with that. I think he has done a phenomenal job so far. And Coach of the Year could be Doug Peterson. I would agree with that as well. Turning around a Jaguars team that was a mess last season. But I think Nick Sirianni is also a very good candidate, as well as Brandon Staley. A lot of good coaches this year in the NFL. So the last thing I want to look at in this little recap before we move on is the mock drafts, some of the college players. This is my first year using the updated draft system. I did not use it last year in Madden 22, and I still have a lot to learn. And the thing about this year is I don't have to worry about it. Before I even show you the mock drafts, really, at least going after elite prospects, because if you remember this offseason, the Broncos traded for Russell Wilson, and we don't have a first round or a second round pick. We have two third round picks, a fourth round, a fifth round, a seventh round. So we only have 5 picks in this upcoming draft class. That's another reason why I wanted to pick the Broncos. I knew we couldn't just build through the draft after year 1 because we don't have any draft picks this year. Next year will be different, but with 5 picks, it's going to be hard to plug some of these holes. We're going to have to do it in the free agency if we want to. But back to the scouting, they did introduce mock drafts and stuff. I am using real life draft classes, so the prospects are the same as you'd see in real life. You can see Will Anderson, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and company at the top. But like I said, we will not be getting any of the top first round players just because we don't have a first round pick. But I do want to get to know some of the top prospects, so we will look at the mock draft, see what they got. They've gone through 2, so we'll take a look at mock draft number 2. Right now they have Texans going Will Anderson with the number 1 pick. I think that is a very good spot for him. I think he is the next can't miss pass rusher. Then you have Paris Johnson going to the Dolphins, Jalen Carter going to the Seahawks, Keely Ringo going to the Giants, and then rounding out the top 5, Peter Skoronski going to the Jets. And you can see all the other players here. They don't have the first quarterback going until 11 to the Lions, and then they don't have CJ Stroud going until the Commanders at 27. So interesting first round. Now I don't think that will hold up, and it's because of this man right here, Bryce Young. He is not going to go 11 to the Detroit Lions. Young, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, is having an even more incredible season. Now here's some college clips in his game against Texas that was actually played at Jerry World. The Crimson Tide were victorious over Texas, and they actually blew out the Longhorns. And that's because Bryce Record had a record-breaking day. Yes, last year Bryce Young set the record for most passing yards in a game with 559. He broke his own record against Texas in Dallas. He threw for 571 yards in this victory against the Longhorns. A sensational performance. Nobody has ever won back-to-back Heisman Trophy awards, but I think Bryce Young could be the guy who breaks that trend. As you can see, he's the number 2 guy on the big board as well. He will definitely not fall to 11. Maybe he'll go number 1. Maybe he beats Anderson. Maybe he doesn't and will go 2. But as you can see, his key ratings here. So the teams like the Browns, the Steelers, and the Falcons who need a quarterback, this is a man you want to look at pretty solid accuracies across the board. We know A short accuracy, A to C medium, A to C deep. I mean, this man is accurate, can throw on the run, can throw under pressure. He looks like the next can't-miss quarterback prospect. So somebody's going to look for Bryce Young, especially if he wins a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. He could be one of the most decorated athletes coming out of college. So don't think he'll fall to 11. It'll be very interesting to see which team picks up Bryce Young. But that'll do it for this one. Just a little recap around the league. I just kind of will show you what's going on. Next week, we will face the Tennessee Titans. Oh, actually, before we get there, I actually almost forgot. Last week was the trade deadline. It was actually a very busy trade deadline in the NFL. I tried to make it busier. I wanted to make the trade deadline really feel like something in this series. Let me know in the comment section if you agree, but I did go into the teams, look at their trade block, made moves based off their trade block form. So let's take a look at the trades that went down in the NFL. We'll run through them as they appear. But the Bills, they made a couple of deals. They traded for A.J. Dillon for the Packers. Packers also sent a future 4th-round pick in exchange for a 3rd this year, a 3rd next year, and Khalil Shakir. So A.J. Dillon moves to the Bills. Browns made a move. They traded for Alexander Mattison, who actually has familiarity with Kevin Stefanski in his time with Minnesota. They gave up a 2 4s and then a future 5 for that trade. The Cardinals picked up Kenyon Drake. He is back in Arizona, and with Cliff Kingsbury, and they gave up a 6th round this year, a future 3, and a future 4 to get him. And then the Colts traded for Nyheim Hines, as well as a future 7. They traded Andre Dillard and a future 3. The Cowboys, they traded for Tony Pollard, or they traded for Tony Pollard to be the backup to Ezekiel Elliott. Oh no, he got traded. Excuse me. Tony Pollard got traded to the Patriots for Devon Godchaux, a 3rd this year and a 4th next year. So a pretty big haul there. He is now the lead back out there in New England. The 49ers trade Eli Mitchell to the Dolphins, so he's reunited out there in Miami with his former offensive coordinator. They also got a future 5, and then the Dolphins sent over Andrew Van Ginkel, Nick Needman, and a future 6. Very interesting trade there. Talked about the Eagles trade. Falcons had a trade earlier in the season. 49ers, already talked about their trade. Giants, Jaguars, Jets. Jets get their new running back. They've traded for Michael Carter from the Texans. So they sent a 4th, a 5th, and a future 3. A pretty big haul for Michael Carter. Only a 2nd-year man, though, so very interesting trade. Actually, the Texans, I messed up again. The Texans traded for Michael Carter, got their future running back. They have a high selection probably this year, but you get your running back of the future potentially. Speaking of Jets, they also traded for Gus Edwards. So they fill that role by trading and getting Gus Edwards for the Ravens. They traded Jacob Martin and Braxton Berrios, as well as a 5th-round pick in this upcoming draft. Lions, looks like they made a trade. I actually didn't make this trade. The Lions, though, traded they acquired Deontay Harty for Evan Brown and Amani Oruwariye. So I didn't even do that trade. That was just a trade that did go down. The Packers, we talked about the Packers trade. Panthers, Patriots did their move. Raiders required Rashad Penny from the Seattle Seahawks. They sent a 5th, a 6th, and a future 3, and they also weren't done. We talked about the Kenyon Drake trade earlier, and then this one, I even do this one. T.Y. Hilton got traded to the Seahawks, so he got picked up and preseason by the Seahawks, and he got traded to the Raiders. So Raiders are very busy at the deadline this year. Looks like Madden might have did something with the trade deadline at the deadline to make it more active, and I actually do like that if that's the case. But that is all the trades that went down in the NFL. Try to make it a little bit more exciting for you guys. But next episode, we'll get back into action. We will be on the road against the Tennessee Titans. So I hope you guys are ready for that one. If you are, make sure you drop a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content.